he asks, what does Riker do? And Boimler said something about playing the saxophone. And then this guy said, okay, yeah, I need to blow more brass. Get it? I gotta show you guys something. Look at this. I'm gonna put it up in the main viewer, okay? What do you think? What? Okay, 1 second. There, I put it back. Yeah, it's back to normal. Okay. Yeah, alright. There's a spy among us. Whoops. Did I say among us? I meant humongous. This episode is called There's a Spy Humongous, Lower Decks. Season double. Episode Hexagon. Or 6. This episode starts basically how a million different previous episodes felt like they started. There's a political prisoner / refugee on your ship. You get contacted by his government, and they want him back. Is he a criminal? Is he a spy? This is the plot of about 400 other episodes of Star Trek. Is that a problem? Nope. Because it is a platform on which to tell a different story. You see. The Pakleds are back. Can we call Lower Decks Star Trek Pakled? Are we there yet? Pakleds keep showing up. They keep referencing Pakleds. They keep becoming a plot point. This is the Pakled show. So Starfleet has to negotiate peace with Pakled. Basically, I think they're waylaying some trade lines or what have you. I don't know. It's all very nebulous. Safe to say that Pakleds are causing a problem. Do they know they're causing a problem? Perhaps not. They're legendary for their stupidity, which is kind of sad. But space is a big place and it takes all kinds. Starfleet has to go to Pakled Planet, which we've found out is called Pakled Planet. The Pakleds call their planet Pakled Planet. Yes, haha, it's all very funny. The Pakled in question, Rumdar, is initially completely outed as a spy, more or less, because Pakleds are quote-unquote dumb. He's on board the Cerritos, and they hatch this plan to, hey, let's show him around the ship. He's a tourist. We know he's a spy. But let's see if we can get him to tell us about the Pakleds, so that we can argue from a more favorable position in the peace negotiations, shall we say. This particular Pakled, Rumdar, ends up in a hilarious U.S.S. Cerritos t-shirt and hat. He's taken on a tour of all the different sensitive systems of the Cerritos, and wouldn't you know it, Ransom and Kayshawn lose track of him. Holy cow, where did he go? It's revealed later on that he went to the bathroom. However, he mistook an airlock for a bathroom and somehow shot himself out of the airlock. I don't know how you do this. Many strange things happen in this episode that don't really seem to make a lot of technical sense, but I'm going to forgive it because I kind of like the episode. So, ignoring the technical nonsense of being able to activate an airlock on a starship on your own without any kind of security, ignoring that, it was funny seeing him floating out in space. Ransom and Kayshawn are saying, wow, where did he go? In the shot behind them, he's floating outside in space, wow. And he comes back in and he's a friggin' icicle, and Dr. Tana's like, holy expletive, how did you survive in space like this? I guess Pakleds are very strong. So, essentially, Freeman and Shax are down on the surface of Pakled planet, trying to find out who the top Pakled is. And basically, he's not the top Pakled. I'm king. Don't worry about him. I'm queen. I'm emperor of the Pakleds. And we quickly realize that there is no sensible power structure when it comes to command on Pakled planet. As we see, a revolution is taking place on Pakled at this time, and basically the helmet of the emperor of the Pakled planet just goes to the first guy who finds it, and there is no way to sensibly negotiate with the Pakleds. Come on. However, Rumdar returns from the Cerritos to the surface of Pakled planet, and having learned nothing really of consequence about the Cerritos, Captain Freeman tricks him into telling Starfleet and Freeman and Shax specifically that they're planning on smuggling a bomb onto Earth. He basically says, "You were such a good spy. Why don't you tell me what secret things you're going to do so I know how good of a spy you were?" "Well, we're gonna try to smuggle a bomb onto Earth." Thanks for telling everyone. They're too stupid for their own good. How did they survive this long? And their ships look like crap. So that's the A-plot. Rumdar is back on the planet. The Pakleds, for the moment, have been subdued. But the Boims in our B-plot is back on the Cerritos, and he's been waylaid in his own way by a group of red shirts, wink wink, who are vying for rank up command positions. And they're basically in their own little secret clique. And this includes mostly characters that we've seen in the background in previous episodes, like that one Zinti from Mugatu Gumato episode. And their whole MO is that they're gonna help each other rank up. And as you do, you would want to have Boimler in your clique, because he was on the Titan. He's got the inside line on how Riker got to be where he is. So they want all the secret deets on Riker. And they're having a conversation about this, and I believe one of the characters in the red shirt gang says something like, he asks, what does Riker do? And Boimler said something about playing the saxophone. And then this guy said, "Okay, yeah, I need to blow more brass." Get it? They eventually customize his uniform so it's tighter in some areas and has more constructed panels in other areas, and they give him a new haircut to try to turn him into command material. Basically, they're trying to turn him into Commander Kirk, James T., if you don't know him. It's all very funny, haha, but then this intertwines in a funny way with B-plot, and I'll drop the deets on that now. B-plot has Mariner, Rutherford, and Tendi on anomalous consolidation duty, or anomaly consolidation duty. Essentially, they're going around the entire ship picking up all the anomalous materials that have been discovered on various away missions that are considered to be too dangerous or spooky to just throw into a matter recombiner. So they have to go take it to some facility. So basically, they have a little anti-gravity cart, and they're going around to the different rooms, collecting all the different research materials. Gooey blob here, strange crystal there. It is a gag reel, essentially, of them touching something, causing a dangerous thing to happen, and then them having to solve the situation. It's funny to look at, not very funny to explain. I guess you can imagine what would happen if you touched some spooky goo and then you started mutating and then they had to fix it. Anyway, this culminates in Tendi touching something that looks like a pink cube, which is later revealed to be like a mood cube or something. And it basically brings to the surface all your worst angry emotions that are hidden deep inside the crevices of your heart. Essentially, this turns Tendi into a gigantic scorpion. What the hell? this gigantic angry scorpion is laying waste to the mess hall. Okay? Boimler, in command rank up fishing mode with his cool outfit, has to save the day, but he has to save the day by cooling off Tendy's emotions. So basically, he knew that this cube would turn you into a gigantic scorpion if you were angry, so he had to make her laugh, and he did this by ordering strange foods from the replicator and then throwing it on himself and basically embarrassing himself in front of his new clique of friends. One would guess that they wouldn't be too happy about seeing that, because these people are the captains in waiting, and they have to be cool, and they have to be suave, and they have to have that swag, and they didn't want to be seen messing around with slop from a replicator and fighting a giant bug, which I think is pretty cool, but they didn't think that. One of these characters, he sounds a lot like Kirk, in the way he punctuates his statements. He sounds a lot like Kirk, you see. Wink, wink. He's talking to this character, and he says something like, he's referring to Tendi, Rutherford, and Mariner, and he's saying, they're not your friends. Look, you got to drop those friends. They're a bad look for you. And he says, they work for Starfleet. We are Starfleet. And that was a major transgression. I gasped when I heard it. Major transgression. We don't like that. These characters are here to be laughed at. The quote-unquote red shirts who are trying to rank up Boimler. They're not what we're looking for command material, just so you know. And they're vying to get a position as acting captain, like junior acting captain. There's a thing where there's some kind of program where ensigns are allowed to act as captain momentarily in between shifts, and they're trying to get it, and they talk to Ransom and say, please select me, I'm nominating myself for the junior acting captain. And Ransom's like, yeah, whatever, who cares? Because it's just some formality of formalities just lost in the paperwork, and he doesn't care who it is. And then as Ransom's walking by, he says to Boimler, by the way, nice work with that scorpion. Showed some real leadership there. It was a fantastic moment. See, you don't be a leader by copying others, you be a leader by leading, and it doesn't matter the command style that someone else has. You need to find your own, which was at the core of this episode. There's the real moral thing to chew on. That's what makes an episode good, when there's something for your brain to think about later. And that's what makes this episode stand out to me. There's a question here, and the question is, are you a leader or are you a follower? These red shirts are the followers. They can never be a leader. They're trying to copy Riker and other captains. Bad idea. So let's just let our brains marinate in that, okay? So we got Boimler saving the day from Tendi Scorpion mode. And we have the Pakleds subdued. What do we have at the very end? My favorite moment, potentially. As you remember with the last few episodes of Lower Decks, we've been referencing early TNG a lot, okay? And I noticed a lot of early TNG references in this episode. I won't go into all of them, but one of them, at the very end, one of the anomalous artifacts that they found in their mission aboard the Cerritos, picking up old research materials, was a stone that lets you broadcast your voice to another planet. And Mariner broadcasts her voice to the planet from the TNG episode Skin of Evil. Remember Armus? The black goop monster that Picard was talking to? He says, I'm evil, and then Picard's like, you're not evil. What would be evil is us giving in to the likes of you instead of defying you. I think Picard said something like that. Of course, this is the episode where Riker famously got dragged into black goop, which is always a fun watch. I like the episode, even though it's not really that good. And I'm noticing a strange love for early TNG and Lower Decks that I'm appreciating a lot. But Mariner calls Armus, and Armus is still there on the planet, writhing in the energy of evil nastiness. And Mariner's making fun of him, and he's like, "No, I'm Armus. No, dang it!" And he was so angry. And Mariner is just teasing this poor creature. Oh my gosh. If you don't know, or if you haven't seen the episode Skin of Evil in TNG, Armus is basically abandoned on this planet. He's all alone. He's just there, stewing in agony, and he's an unbeatable creature, comprised entirely of black goop, and he is very angry. He is the picture of angriness, and Mariner is here teasing him years after he's been left there. He's just been stewing there for decades. Somebody should go back and save him. Why not? Go back and try to fix him. I don't know. It's kind of nasty leaving him there. That could be a potential angle for this show to take. Perhaps in the next season or later on this season, we could actually go back and revisit places from previous episodes of Star Trek and clean up the mess. Wouldn't that be funny? That is Lower Decks. Essentially, that is the motto of Lower Decks, is it not? We're boldly going where someone has went before and fixing the problems. We're boldly going second. We make the second contact. Let's live up to that. Let's go back to some of these strange planets and see what happened. Make it safe. Maybe it could be funny. This episode, Tendi takes the lead here in an interesting way. Tendi is on point for the anomalous consolidation duty, anomaly consolidation, or what have you. I like to see that. I like Tendi taking charge, and I like when Tendi is doing something interesting, and she is in this episode. Rutherford is just kind of there. Rutherford, unfortunately, again, has fallen into the background. He's completely forgotten here. Mariner is on brand for Mariner, not interested in her job, just going along to get along, what have you. Getting zapped by all kinds of strange, anomalous materials. Boimler is Boimler, although it is weird to see him fall back into the trap that he fell into at the end of season 1 by vying for a position he doesn't yet really deserve. He is easily given to flights of fancy and delusions of grandeur that I think his character should possibly be past at this point. And it seems like he was very quick to abandon his friends again in this episode, and that's a negative strike against Boimler for me, especially after his development last episode, if you remember. Unfortunate to see that. A few laugh out loud moments for me during the Scorpion Tendi attack on the mess hall. These command red shirts are all trying to give an arousing speech at the same time to the crew, and it's just a cacophony. You can't make out what anyone's saying. Everybody was trying to be a leader, and nobody was willing to actually really get in there rough and tumble. A nice moment, very funny. But the key takeaways is that Armus is back, the Packlets won't go away, and leadership is a funny thing. Visually, we got to go to Packlet Planet, which was... I can't say that I was waiting to see Packlet Planet, but it was interesting to see it. So that's a plus. The Packlet ships that are in orbit look like absolute crap, as they should. They have no real good design philosophy. The visual language of these ships is all over the place, and they look like they're patched together with tape, which is on brand for the Packlets. The shirt that Rumdar wore in the Cerritos when he was on his little tour of the Cerritos, I wonder if they're going to try to sell that in reality, the U.S.S. Cerritos shirt. I wouldn't buy it, but It's an interesting diversion. Yeah. This episode was funny. It wasn't as much of a huge, violent catastrophe as the last episode kind of was. A few good character moments, but most importantly, something for the brain to stew. Something to stew in the old noggin there. You know, something in there. I like that. So I'm going to have to go ahead and give this episode a 6.5. We're not hitting 7 yet, but 6.5 is decent. I'm happy to have watched it. It didn't really annoy me, but there was some technical issues that made me say, Things that make you say, Like, how it is that we can just have such extremely dangerous material sitting around, like a cube that turns you into a scorpion, or some type of goop that inflates your body to massive proportions. Strange that we can just access these things so willy-nilly. And it's also strange that a Pac-Led could find his way to an airlock and engage the airlock without having any kind of security check on that. Things that make you go, It is a comedy, so we're going to have to excuse some things, but it's also Star Trek, so it should comport with the reality of Star Trek in some way. A lot of the jokes landed, and they didn't land at the expense of somebody. A lot of these jokes were not at the expense of the crew, and not necessarily aimed at the crew members. There was a few nasty digs, but this is generally more in line with how the comedy should be in a Star Trek comedy show. A few unfortunate bleep-worthy expletives aside, this episode was decent fun. So I think 6.5 is warranted. We're not getting to 7 yet, but if we get an episode that really wows me, I won't hesitate to throw it a 7. I won't in the future hesitate to do so. This is a 6.5. This has been Spy Humongous, and this is Mark. And this marks my time to disappear. And mark my words, we'll be back next week for another episode of Star Trek Lower Decks. And I hope to see you there. Mark gone.